Charter schools were sold as freedom with a purpose. But follow the money, and the story turns into a lesson in hidden ledgers and public risk. Taxpayer dollars enter as public funding, then move through a maze of contracts, rent payments, and fees. That maze is where profit quietly appears. On paper, charter schools are public schools. In practice, many are built on institutional design that weakens oversight and rewards financial engineering. The charter is the first gate. It promises accountability, but the fine print often leaves regulators with limited power and operators with wide discretion. Parents are told choice will force improvement. Yet choice alone cannot fix a system where incentives point toward enrollment growth, not student outcomes. The hidden economics begin with overhead. Management companies can take a slice through consulting, administration, data systems, and services that are hard to audit. Then comes the real estate play. Many charters rent from related parties, turning classrooms into revenue streams and public buildings into private annuities. A high lease can drain millions over time. When the landlord and school are connected, the rent becomes a quiet transfer of public money. Conflict of interest is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like a board that should oversee the school, but effectively answers to the vendor. Regulatory capture thrives when authorizers depend on operators for fees, political support, or performance data. Oversight becomes negotiated, not enforced. The public sees a school. The back office sees a balance sheet. The gap between those two views is where structural flaws multiply. Enrollment is the engine. More students means more funding, so marketing can matter more than instruction, and retention can matter more than recovery. Some networks spend heavily on branding because reputation is a revenue strategy. When demand is fragile, image becomes part of the business model. Audits can reveal the surface, but not always the structure. If contracts are fragmented across affiliates, the true profit margin stays hidden in plain sight. This is vertical integration with a public twist. One network can capture facilities, operations, and materials, then bill the school at every step. Every service can become a line item. Transportation, meals, technology, and curriculum may be bundled into contracts that obscure markups and related party gains. The margin is often not in tuition, but in procurement. Buy low through one entity, bill high through another, and the spread becomes profit. In some cities, charter expansion follows real estate opportunities as much as educational need. The school becomes the anchor tenant in a broader property strategy. States vary wildly in enforcement. Weak laws, political pressure, and uneven authorizers create a patchwork system where outcomes depend on geography. This is the core institutional problem. Public authority is delegated, but the state does not always retain the tools to monitor what follows. Metrics can be gamed. If schools are judged by narrow outcomes, operators can optimize the scoreboard while ignoring the deeper health of the institution. The student is supposed to be the center. Yet the incentives often center adults, contracts, and expansion, not teaching time or support services. When budgets get tight, corners are cut. Underfunded classrooms, thin staffing, and low reserves can coexist with healthy payments to affiliates. Political influence matters. Charter advocates often lobby hard for friendly rules, lighter oversight, and expansion policies that protect the sector. That is how regulatory capture deepens. Once lawmakers fear backlash from well-funded networks, enforcement becomes a negotiation with power. Teachers feel the pressure first. High turnover, unstable staffing, and weak labor conditions can follow models built for flexibility, not stability. Facilities are a major hidden cost. Some schools occupy aging buildings, while the ownership structure extracts value before repairs are fully funded. Even small margins can become large returns at scale. If the network expands fast enough, the arithmetic of public funding can look remarkably private. When charters fail, the cost does not vanish. Families, staff, and districts absorb the disruption, while losses are often socialized and gains remain captured. District schools are left to fill gaps after enrollment shifts. That can strain budgets, weaken programs, and deepen inequality in already fragile communities. The strongest investigations follow paper trails. Contracts, minutes, and vendor records can expose the machinery that glossy brochures were designed to hide. Once traced, the pattern is familiar. Public money enters one door, fragments through affiliates, and exits as management fees, rent, and compensation. That split screen reveals the moral contradiction. The school claims civic purpose, while the structure quietly rewards financial extraction. Real reform means stronger disclosure, independent audits, tighter conflict rules, and funding structures that reduce incentives for shell games and self-dealing. The question is not whether some charters help students. The question is whether a system built on weak oversight can protect the public interest. If public education is going to work, the money trail must be visible, the incentives must be honest, and the operators must answer to the public. Subscribe for more.